Good evening, or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am Sir Maejor, and as many of you guys know me, I am the former president of Black Lives Matter Greater Atlanta, and I am a current board member, a committee member of the Toledo Alliance for Social Justice. Once again, I'm a member of the Toledo Alliance for Social Justice. And today, right before I had to rush over to a public safety committee hearing, I wanted to make some time and share this information that we want to resonate through all of the city of Toledo. The information that I'm going to be sharing, and I want you to share this video right now, the information that is going to be disseminated to our community has to be shared. And I want people to, members of the community to really understand the fibers of this mandate. The citizens of Toledo, the black and brown members of the community, has issued a mandate to the city of Toledo and its mayor. Let me be perfectly clear. Black members of the community, brown members of the city of Toledo, has come together in the name of solidarity to send a mandate to the mayor of the city of Toledo. Now, recently, you guys remember the protest that was orchestrated outside the mayor's house, led by the Toledo Alliance for Social Justice. Folks have said enough is enough. Folks have said we are tired of being violated every day. We're tired of seeing the idea of mass incarceration be perpetuated through our city. We're tired of seeing black and brown people accosted by police officers for no reason. We're tired of seeing the dramatized hyper-policing in the black community. We're tired of seeing white police officers who have no ties to the city of Toledo aggressively and hyper-policing in black communities. The community has said enough is enough. They've said we've fed up. And no, we're not going to allow members of the police department to treat us as if we're secondary class citizens or as if we're punching bags. So what the Toledo Alliance for Social Justice has done is we've all got together, members of the community, and we said we are going to issue some mandates. We're going to change the way in which we live in the city of Toledo. Black folks have said, I'm tired of sitting around and suffering. No longer are we just going to sit back and just talk about what we ought to be doing. We're going to pass some things. We're going to pass some legislation. And so I'm very proud that the amazing work that the Toledo Alliance have put together. And I thank them for chairing me to be the one to disseminate this information. We got some demands in layman terms. I'm going to just talk in layman's terms for my young folk. We've got some demands. No, we ain't got no requests. We ain't got no special recommendations. We not here to ask for a goddamn thing. We are here to issue our demands. And we want to make these demands abundantly clear. Abundantly clear. We're not asking for shit. We're demanding. And I think this is the least the city could do. The least the city could do. Now I'm going to show you these demands because I believe that you ought to know what these demands are. And I'm going to turn over to my screen on my computer. So the Toledo Alliance for Social Justice also known as TAF-SJ, has issued 2018 community-oriented mandates to Mayor Wade. Now, I can't pronounce the guy's last name, and I'm not even going to attempt to do that. Here you go. Here are the demands. Due to the need to strengthen community relationships with the black community and the Toledo Police Department, which is a predominantly all-white police department, and due to a few viral controversial incidents that has put the community at odds with members of the Toledo Police Department, the Toledo Alliance for Social Justice has put together a list of demands or mandates that we want to put into legislation. The Toledo Alliance for Social Justice believes that by putting these mandates into legislation, it would lower the racial tensions between law enforcement and the community. The first mandate would be to mandatory police de-escalation training, which oftentimes we know that when police officers arrive to scenes or calls, they're coming there with adrenaline raced up. They're coming there looking to do somebody in, looking to take someone to jail, looking to hyper things up. A lot of times they're pulling guns out on folks. We want you to be trained, as you're already supposed to be, to de-escalate the situation. Typically when you respond to a call of a man wanting to jump off the bridge, you're not going to encourage him. You're not going to hype the man up so he can jump off the bridge. Your job is to what? De-escalate it. Talk him out of it. Calm the situation. Be the voice of reason. The second one, mandatory cultural and sensitivity training. As I already have stated, the majority of the police officers that police on the Toledo Police Department are not even from the city. They don't live in Toledo. They have no ties to the city of Toledo. They don't understand the people that live in the city of Toledo. They don't understand cultural diversities and cultural differences. They're not sensitive to the needs of the people. So that's why we put number 2, cultural and sensitivity training. We want to incentivize housing programs for Toledo police officers, which means that we said that we only want police officers that live in the city. Now, we understand due to past precedents and judgments by the Supreme Court, we ruled that we can't just make all of our officers live in Toledo. I mean, that's a legislative issue. So we want to do incentivized housing programs for Toledo police officers. Number 4, mandate through legislation that Toledo Police adopts the recommendations of the final report of the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. Now, anyone that knows criminal justice and anyone that is part of the activism community, you're very much aware of the President's Task Force is President Barack Obama's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. This explains and outlines how police officers should engage with black people, black members of the community. This outlines how they should handle black members of the community, how they should police in black communities. Now, that's a 116-page document. Now, every police department wants to champion and say, oh, we honor this and we honor that. Really, they don't. They absolutely do not. So we want to mandate it through legislation that they do it. Number 5, legislation that mandates Toledo Police release body camera footage no later than 24 hours after the incident. So in the case of Lamar Richardson, Toledo Police did in fact release the video within less than 24 hours of the incident, and we applaud that. When you do that, it shows and demonstrates a level of transparency and accountability. As you do know, there was a report of a minor child being the person that was shot and killed, when in fact it was Lamar Richardson, who was a 25 or 26-year-old male. So I'm sure that the city would understand the idea of releasing body camera footage within 24 hours. Number 6, legislation that requires Toledo Police Department to release the names of Toledo police officers involved in incidents no later than 24 to 48 hours of the incident. that gives them an opportunity to find out where they went wrong. But it really goes back to transparency and accountability. Let's say, for hypothetically, the officer involved had a bunch of incidents that the city was given notice about the same officer, and they refused to do anything. That gives folks in the community the opportunity to know who was responsible behind this heinous act, right? And this is something that we've got in the city of Toledo, and Atlanta and other cities. Number 7, create neighborhood planning units that protect the interests of all neighborhood sectors. All voices matter as it pertains to crime, licensing, and zoning. MPUs and community benefits agreements will help cut down on gentrification and unfair decisions that are made without proper knowledge and consent of residents. So we believe that each pocket of the city should have a neighborhood planning unit whose advice and recommendations are strongly recommended to the city and city council as decisions are being made in their particular neighborhood. So you do like neighborhood units M through Z, depending on the neighborhood. Number 8, completely scrap Toledo Citizens Review Board and replace it with a Citizen Review Board that actually has teeth and will work. The Citizen Review Board must have investigative referrals, recommendation, and subpoena powers. So let's say in the case of a police officer who violates someone, and that or any citizen-based complaint will be given to the Citizens Review Board, the Toledo Citizen Review Board. Any police complaint that is generated by a citizen will be referred to the Toledo Citizens Review Board and Internal Affairs. The recommendation of the Toledo Citizen Review Board will then be given to the chief. And then ultimately, the chief should have the last say so. However, the chief should strongly adhere to the recommendations of that board. Now, that board would not be allowed any members of the police department or past police officers to sit on that board as a level of transparency and accountability. Number 9, fund and expand the Toledo Police Athletic Club or Athletic League. Now, that's also known as PAL. In each city, in each market, they have a PAL. Now, PAL has been very instrumental to helping young men get off the street. It's been very critical to providing alternatives for our young people. Toledo is a hub for boxing. A lot of our young people loves the sport of boxing. And I think, and we believe as an organization, that when you fund it properly and you properly expand it, you provide more opportunities to young people, right? Number 10, return to true community policing to all neighborhoods. Require officers to get out of their patrol cars, walk their beats, and build relationships and not create enemies. We believe in the model that President Barack Obama has set forth through the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing, that you have an opportunity to engage in the community and its people by actually being personable, knowing people's names, knowing their family, and knowing their personal struggles and their differences. But if you patrol all day in a patrol car and you're not really in tune with the community, you won't have a vested interest in wanting to really understand the people. So we want officers to get out of their damn cars and start walking beats and building relationships. Moving next, we want to go to 11. Stop the aggressive and hyper-policing in black neighborhoods. So, for example, when you got 3+ cars responding to a minor traffic stop, or pulling, or having, like at a minor traffic stop, you got different officers calling for canine units for no reason, just to only for the reason to harass and hyper police, I guess, if you will. We want that to stop, and that only stops through mandatory memos and or legislation. So for a minor traffic stop, let's say a traffic tail light out, you don't need 6 cars pulling people over, one person for the same thing. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's a misuse of resources. It's a misuse of tax dollars. And as far as we're concerned as the black community, it's harassment. Number 12, recruit and hire more black police officers. Now, notice we didn't say Hispanic police officers, Arab police officers. We say black police officers because majority of the people being prosecuted and pulled over and accosted by Toledo Police Department are black members of the community. We want people that look like us, that come from our communities, that identify with us, that can relate to us, that understands our struggle. We want those police officers on our police department. Number 13, strengthen the requirement to become a police officer. As we know that to become a nail tech, you need more hours. You require more hours to become a nail tech than being a police officer. To be an STA, it requires more hours in training to be an STA than to be a police officer. We want to strengthen the requirements. We want college-educated officers. We want longer weeks in the academy, right? So that's really a no-brainer. Number 14, mandate that officers live in the city of Toledo in order to police in our department. Okay, again, it's self-explanatory. We don't want officers from Suwanee. We don't want officers from Rossford or Fremont or Findlay or Van Wert, Ohio. We want officers from our communities that will police on our department. Number 15, implement stronger screenings of officers for mental health, racial, and prejudice issues. Okay? A lot of police officers that police on the Toledo Police Department are in fact racist, are in fact not fond of people of color. And that's quite explanatory. Number 16, mandate drug testing for officers accused of excessive force and or lethal force. So any officer that is accused of using a severe bodily injury or taking a life, they ought to be drug tested just as if any other profession. Okay? We have the right to know what is in that officer's system at the time of these alleged offenses. Now, more than likely we'll probably get pushback from the Fraternal Order of Police, but this is something that is mandatory, and this is something we're not going to let up on. Number 17, remove officers who demonstrate a liability to the Toledo Police Department. For example, if Officer Robocop has 30 complaints of excessive force or violence or actions of unbecoming of an officer, and then ultimately he ended up killing somebody. Well, the city had reason to believe that he was a liability based on past complaints. Okay? So then ultimately this officer would be, the city of Toledo would be liable for a bigger lawsuit than typically just paying out a settlement. So now once the department has knowledge that this officer is a liability, they have a greater responsibility to do something. Number 18, ban the practices that allows police officers to file open warrants for chronic nuisance and low-level offenses like ordinances and things of that nature. So we know that the Toledo Police Department has officers who have it out for certain individuals in the community. Officers use this as a resource to target black and brown skinned people of the community. So pulling out a warrant typically requires a judge to sign off on it. However, when you go pull out an open warrant, you really don't need a judge to sign off on it. All you got to do is go get a prosecutor or go get one of your buddies to sign off on it, or the officer just go pull out a warrant. And that person will get arrested. The officers will respond with that warrant as if it's a regular warrant, and they'll respond guns drawn. And we want to cut down on issues that happen in our community, things that could have been prevented. And so 18, I know different officers like Lieutenant Scoble and a bunch of other officers misuse that resource, that city ordinance. And we'll tell you that number 18, a lot of cities are scaling back on chronic nuisance and open warrants and things of that nature because they are aware that officers are misusing that. Number 19, completely demilitarize the Toledo Police Department, which means that we want armored trucks, these tanks, high-power assault weapons, and all the unnecessary tactical gear. We want that given back to the federal government or given back to the agencies that provided that to the city of Toledo. Our city is a city and not a war zone, and we want to create Toledo to be that resilient city we know it ought to be. Number 20, divest in policing and invest in community. So we want to cut some funding from the Toledo Police Department and put it back into the community. We know that each year the city does a big budget, and they allocate a bunch of money to the city of Toledo's police department and other criminal justice programs. We say cut back on some of that funding and implement community programs and put that money back into the community, right? Create programs for our young people, give our young people jobs, create other opportunities for young children of color. Number 21, stop arresting black and brown skinned people over minor offenses. Issue citations versus effecting unnecessary arrests. I think when you do this, it speaks volumes for itself. You're lowering the recidivism rate. I think we're lowering our incarceration rate. We're lowering the rate of our young people being funneled through the criminal justice system. I think that typically if we issue citations if necessary versus arresting folks, we can make Toledo a more resilient place to live, right? And that's really self-explanatory. Number 22, we want to end the cash bail bond system in Toledo. And what we mean by that is, and excuse me, we'll expound on that, is that we don't think it's fair for folks to have to pay for their freedoms. The purpose of cash bail originally was to ensure that people show up for court. Now it has become a way to target black and brown people for those who cannot afford their freedom. We know that white people go to jail for low-level offenses, the same offenses that black folks commit. However, they go through, they get in, they walk right out. Meanwhile, folks who cannot afford their bond, they sit there weeks at a time and sometimes months at a time or years because they cannot afford bond. That is not what the purpose of cash bail was for. It was designed to ensure that you show up for court. Now, 23, implement and mandate a no chase policy on residential streets. I know a young man in the city of Toledo who lost one of his legs because Toledo police were reckless, they were careless, they were irresponsible and unbecoming when they executed a chase and a pit maneuver on a residential street. That vehicle flipped over 30 so times, and a man has lost his leg and could have lost his life. So we want a no chase policy on residential streets. Number 23, implement and mandate a no pit maneuver policy in the city of Toledo. Now, if pits are necessary, then Toledo police should call in the state troopers and or the sheriff's office to execute a pit maneuver. That way it eliminates the liability on our city police department. Number 25, mandate that all officers, mandate that officers are, that's a misspelling there, we're going to take that out. Mandate that officers are mandated to provide their names and badges upon request of any citizens, whether on duty or off duty. So hypothetically, if a Joe Smo comes up to an officer and he says, "Sir, what is your name and badge number?" The officer, whether he likes it or not, whether he's on duty or not, should be compelled to provide his name and badge number, because a citizen may want to file a complaint. They may want to include that person in an open records request or whatever have you. So it should be mandated as a public servant that you should have to provide your name and badge number, whether you're on duty or off duty, in plain clothes or in uniform. Number 26, mandate that officers wear functioning body cameras, and any officer who turns off or obstructs or alters any audio or video should be terminated immediately and criminally prosecuted if warranted. So that the city of Toledo basically will have to mandate that officers wear body camera footage. Wear functioning and working body cameras, period. Now, some of the companies that are known, tested and proven companies are Axon, which is through Taser International. They're no longer Taser International, there's Axon. Very good company. Another company is called Body Worn. These are really good companies. that many departments across this country are using. So Toledo Police needs to finalize and lock in a contract with a body camera company that is going to be sufficient and suffice. Number 27, change the policy that allows detectives in Internal Affairs, or OPS, which is the Office of Professional Standards, to turn away or deter citizens from filing complaints. So whatever practice or policy that allows detectives to try to encourage citizens not to file a complaint, that ought to change. It should be mandated that any person that wants to file a complaint, the complaint should have to be taken regardless if that detective wants to take it or not. All right? So if anyone has any questions with any of these demands or these mandates, you need to contact the Toledo Alliance for Social Justice via our Facebook page, or you can email us at the Toledo Alliance for Social Justice. So these are 27 demands that the Toledo the Toledo Alliance for Social Justice has issued to the city of Toledo's mayor, Wade, Lil Wade, also known as, and also the city of Toledo. And so these will be given to the city council members. We're going to go ahead and email these out, and then we're also going to furnish this and make this public, and it's going to stay on my personal Facebook page, and you'll also be able to get it through the Toledo Alliance for Social Justice page as well. So these are policies. These are ideas that we want to make and turn into legislation. This could happen. This will happen. We're going to get this done together. This is not about necessarily. This is a guideline that anybody should want to support, whether you're black or white. This benefits everybody, and this is something that we're going to seek all the way through. And so Mayor Wade has some of these demands. We're going to issue the new one out, and we're going to give him 2 weeks to give us a response back. And we're also giving the chief of police an opportunity to go over these. Now, again, we want you guys to share this stuff on Facebook. I want to thank my support team and my colleagues, Nathaniel Livingston, who's been very instrumental to really helping making sure we get these out. My colleague, Sister Crystal Echols, and Twyla Page, and Charles Brown, and Antoine Echols, and the list goes on and on. Thank you so much to our team for really sitting down and buckling down the time when I came to really making sure that we double down on these, okay? Again, I go by the name of Sir Maejor. I am the Minister of Justice. I'm late right now for a public safety hearing that I have to get to, and I have to go speak at. But this would not have been possible without our hard work and due diligence and members of the community. So with that said, if anyone have any questions, feel free to contact us. These are demands, these are our mandates, and we will see that these get followed in its entirety. We love you. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings.